Today I'm going to show you a better, more effective way of practicing scale patterns on your guitar. That's coming up next. I want to point out before I go into this that this particular concept is something that I learned from Martin Miller's channel. Now if you aren't familiar with Martin's stuff, I suggest you go to his YouTube channel, definitely subscribe. He's an awesome guitar player. He's got some great videos on guitar playing and some pretty amazing performances as well. So the typical way that most guitar players will practice their scale patterns is by starting on string 6, playing up to the first string, returning to the 6th string, and ending it there. So that would be something like this. Now this approach isn't too bad when your root note for the scale is on string 6. But what about the other patterns that you have for a scale across the fretboard? Take a look at the following example. If we play the same scale, the A minor pentatonic scale, starting in the 12th position, if we start on string 6, we're not actually starting on A, we're starting on an E note, and it would sound like this. Now the problem with practicing your scales this way is that first of all it builds a habit of always having to start on string number 6. When you're improvising or playing a solo, it's actually pretty rare that you would start on string 6. You're more likely to start on one of the higher strings. Another reason why this is a problem is because we're ignoring some of the musical information that has to do with this scale. Specifically, we're ignoring the root note, and we're also ignoring the harmonic or chord context of the scale. Now, a final problem with this particular approach is that when it comes to learning things like modes, where we have the same patterns that may be called a variety of things, so say the major scale and the Lydian mode, the patterns look identical, or at least they appear to be identical. So we really don't get a clear difference between the different modes. So the better approach that I'm going to suggest you use can be summarized with the acronym RUDDR, or R-U-D-R. And this stands for root, up, down, root. So the idea with this approach is that you're going to start with the lowest root note in the scale pattern. You're then going to play up as high as you can, staying in the same pattern. You're then going to turn around and play as far down the pattern as you can, and then you'll return to the root note that you started on. Now if we take the A minor pentatonic scale, playing pattern number 1, then this RUDDR approach actually ends up being the same thing as the old approach you would have used. Again, it looks like this. We start on the A note on the 5th string, we play all the way up as high as we can, we turn around and play down as far as we can, and we end on the root note that we started on. When we go to pattern number 4 of the A minor pentatonic scale, using this RUDDR approach changes things a little bit. So once again, we're going to start on a root note, the lowest one we can find in the pattern, which in this case is the A on the 12th fret of the 5th string. Within the pattern, we're going to play up as high as we can, and then turn around and play down as low as we can. Finally, we return to the root note that we started on. Now this means that we may have to replay some of the notes. So here's the entire pattern number 4 using the RUDDR approach. So why exactly is this particular approach a more effective way of practicing your scales? First of all, we're breaking out of the habit of always having to start on string number 6. As you work through the various patterns for a particular scale, you will be starting on any one of the 6 strings of your guitar. Now I also mentioned that the approach tries to have us starting on the lowest possible root note. Once you're used to this, you could try starting on the highest possible root note and repeating again the RUDDR approach. Root, up, down, root. Another reason why this approach is more effective is because we're actually thinking about the musical context of the pattern. We're paying attention to where the root notes are, or at least one of them anyway, and we'll also start to get a better sense of how this scale works within the music, so its harmonic context. The final reason why this particular approach is more effective is that when we start to explore things like modes, we actually get a difference between the patterns. If we were to play the major scale in the key of G, we might play it something like this. However, if we were thinking of this as the Lydian mode that belongs to the same key, which would be C Lydian, we play the pattern in a very different way, because the root note has changed from G to C. Here's C Lydian in that same position. So we get a very different way of practicing the scale when we think of it as Lydian, as opposed to thinking of it as the major scale. Now, to help you practice this particular approach, I've included a PDF file which includes all of the patterns for the A minor pentatonic scale, as well as tablature for practicing using the rudder approach. And I've also done the same thing with the caged version of the G major scale, so the shapes that are a little bit more compact. You'll find a link to this PDF in the description below the video. I do, of course, encourage you to go beyond just the A minor pentatonic scale and the G major scale and explore different scales as well as different keys. If you have any questions or comments about this particular approach, then please post them in the comments below. If you found this way of looking at scales to be useful, please like and share the video with any other guitar players you think might find it useful. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell to get immediate updates when new lessons and videos are posted. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.